Hey y'all, this is Retha.
Hey, this is Deandra, and you are now listening to.
Coffee, Heels, and Conversation podcast.
So grab your coffee and listen in.
Hey y'all, hey, how y'all be?
What's up,
Welcome
people?
back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back,
Welcome
welcome
back.
back.
Okay. All right. So as always, we are going to take care of the church announcements, which is what coffee are we drinking? I am again having regular homemade Walmart coffee. Today we are having the cinnamon vanilla with a little bit of caramel and fresh vanilla creamer. It will change your life. Try it. Rita, what about you?
I'm too having regular coffee from my boy Don Francisco with a little splash of almond milk because guess who forgot to buy creamer when she did her grocery shopping this
You.
morning? Me. So
Okay.
see how this goes because
All right. Okay.
sorry.
All right. Okay.
What we talking about today, girl?
So today we are talking about incorporating positive affirmations in your daily life, as well as the importance of self-care in singleness and in relationships. Is that right?
Hello?
Okay. So I have a great positive affirmation that I just found thanks to Oprah. It says, I'm in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. And that was by Louise Hay. Is that Louis or Louise? Who, honey? Let me go that together. It's Louise. Louise Hay. And I like that. I think
Okay.
that's so like on time.
Mm.
And then I'm gonna do one more positive affirmation. You are loved just for being who you are, just
Mm.
for existing. And
Good
that was
child.
by Ram Dass. I like those,
Those are some good ones.
right? Positive affirmations. I've heard a lot of people talk about that. And I feel like they're important. Because I think it helps with your self-talk. And as we like said over the course of several podcasts, like we are our worst critics and we are able to tear ourselves down. So I feel
Yeah.
like positive affirmations is a way to help build yourself back up. And then also, I
Yeah.
think when you feel better about yourself, you show up better, you do things better, you complete things better.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just all around a better person. So positive affirmations um can really help you just elevate. I feel like. What is your thoughts, Rita?
I think I agree. And I also think that it also like requires some patience because sometimes you're saying the affirmations, you don't necessarily feel them. And so it's
Mhm.
like you have to be consistent with actually saying them. And I'm like talking to myself right now because I'm not consistent with saying mine.
Mhm.
But I think they are important to really say in the mirror like every day, and I think they are important because I think that eventually they'll come to mind
Mhm.
when certain things try to come and attack, your view of yourself or whatever.
Right.
Um, but no, I think and those affirmations were amazing because it's like my first thing was like, am I in the right place? And it's like, girl, you
Mhm.
where you need to be,
Right.
And then the other one about like you're because especially as a single person, like a single woman, a single black woman, especially, I get so tired of these podcast dudes. I'm sorry, I do because it's like y'all feel like y'all just deserve love because you're here, fam. And why don't I? Y'all do
Right.
too. Ain't nobody saying like
Exactly.
you guys don't deserve it either. Like we all deserve love
Mhm.
just because
Exactly.
we are here.
Right.
And it's especially for me, I think it ticks my nerves because it's like I've had to fight hard to finally accept love from people.
Mhm.
Because there are people who literally I have to do nothing for that just love me because I exist.
Mhm. Exactly.
And I believe you're one of them, and I have other friends that like just love me for who I am because I'm here.
Mhm.
And it's like it's taken me so long to to embrace that. So it's like no, yes, everyone deserves love because they are here.
Right.
And I think it's a good reminder because you can get caught up in like, oh, I don't feel like I'm, worth anything. It's like, no, say your positive affirmations. And eventually there'll be times where you'll say, because this is one thing I will say about these affirmations. Sometimes your negative self talk will come up while you're saying the affirmation.
Right.
Like I had this one moment where I had to be like, no, 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 because I was saying one of my affirmations that I say, and my thoughts was like, "That's not true." I was like, "Nope, I'm not gonna say that,"
Right.
and I
Yeah.
was like, make myself repeat it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, mm-mm.
Yeah.
So it's just like saying them consistently is, I think, very important and necessary because it
Yes.
may take a while for you to actually believe it, but you need to say it like every
Mm-hmm.
day
Yeah.
and not just like walk through it. Because one of the things I have tried to do is literally stare at myself in the mirror as I say it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can just mumble it, like, while I'm doing whatever, I could just mumble it, but it's like, no, look at yourself within like, intently look at yourself and say them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then one more I just saw that I feel like ties in the chance to love and be loved exists no matter where you are. And that
Well,
was
that's
by
good.
Oprah. I like
Okay,
that one
Madam
as well.
Oprah. That's
Hello, thank
good.
you, Oprah, so much. You're so nice to us. I like that. So now we're gonna segue into self-care. So I feel like positive affirmations help you feel better about yourself internally. Self-care kind of reinforces that because to care for yourself is to one, speak nice to yourself, but to
Mhm,
also actually care for yourself. Like
mhm,
physically do things to care
mhm.
for yourself. So the number one on this article now, this is not planned, even though it sounds planned. It wasn't. I just picked this article. The number one self-care tip is to be self-compassionate. Isn't this crazy? The first step in practicing self-care is learning how to be self-compassionate. Pay attention to your self-talk. When I tell you this is so random, I literally just picked this article. I'm sorry, that just made me excited. I'm sorry. Pay attention to your self-talk and speak to yourself the way you would to someone you love. If you notice your self-talk isn't loving, catch it and try again with care. Any comments on that, Retha?
Well, I feel like he yelling at me again, no. I'm over here, like, doing all kinds of facial expressions. If you are not watching this podcast, you actually should, because my facial expressions are ridiculous. Um, so that is something that I am working on because I am not always self-compassionate. Um, I like when I think I had said this in the last episode. It's like I beat myself up more than anybody ever could.
Mhm,
Um, that comes from, of course, trauma and all that, but it's like it's my responsibility to deal with that, right? So I have been working on becoming more self-compassionate. I am not always self-compassionate. I will literally have compassion for other people,
mhm,
but when it comes to myself, it's like, what's wrong with you?
mhm,
It almost makes me think of like the whole inner bully thing. It's like I somebody else can make a mistake and like that's okay.
mhm.
That's fine. Get up and try again and do the oh, the world is falling apart. I made a mistake. I am
Right.
trash. I don't deserve anything. I should just lay down and die. Like that's like my basically like the drasticness is real because I would just beat myself and was like, okay, calm down.
Mhm.
Just like that person, you said that person is human. Guess who else is human? You are. And I know you don't like
Right.
making mistakes. Nobody likes to make mistakes, but
Right.
just get up and try again. Like it's okay. Like so, whew, child, I need that. I think some of it comes from like my, to be honest, my religious upbringing too. Just
Mhm.
like, oh, we're worthless, we're this. It's like, no, God actually loves you. He died for you for a reason. So just get up and try
Mhm.
again, fam.
Right.
So yeah, that was like just loud in my ear. I'm like, okay, I'm working on it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, I'm gonna actually skip through the article a little bit for some stuff that are like relevant to us. I'm looking through it. The first one wasn't planned. This one I'm looking through it. So the next tip for self care, which I think is for me, it speaks to because I like to write, keep a gratitude journal. And it basically says it's easy to lose sight of positivity, especially when work and personal stress seems to be at its height. In these moments, writing down the things you are grateful for can help you feel better. I've never tried to do this, but I probably should, because I know that I can definitely just get completely distracted by everything else, especially work, especially like just life, even, just anything. Like I can school, get distracted with relationships, get distracted, period, and then lose sight of everything else. So I think having a gratitude journal can be really helpful. And it does kind of, again, from the last podcast, bring you back to the present moment and help you to kind of, it forces you to think about all the things that you have that you are grateful for that, kind of brings you back to, excuse me, it kind of brings you back to a space where, like I said, you're forced to be in the present moment and rethink, it forces you to think about the positive and erase the negative kind of.
No, I think that's good too because I this is my thing. I need to do something because my thing is consistency. Because it's like I could start doing something like that, and then my mind I just forget, or
Hmm.
I allow the distractions to overwhelm me, and that's why I forget. So I think it's because I've been trying. I need to get back on it, but I was trying to do this thing where I write out at least one positive thing that happened in a day
Hmm.
and put it in this little jar or whatever. Basically, like throughout the year, just every day, just put a little something, whatever, and then I can look back at the end of the year. I can look back at all the positive things that happened,
Hmm.
and so it kind of makes me think of that. And I think too, it's like it's so easy to get caught up because, especially like I said in the last episode, like the past month, let's just say, at work has been very, very stressful, and the last 2 weeks got really intense for me, and I was just like, my mind was so on you know, that stress that like certain things that I typically will do went out the window because I'm like, I'm tired. I don't feel like doing extra things. And those things are kind of things that are important for me to actually continue to do despite would probably help me to deal with the stress better. But it's like they just feel like tasks
Hmm.
at the end of the day instead of like what they really are, which are things that are vitally important for my sanity. Hello.
Right.
So I think that's good. Like at least finding something in the day to be grateful for, finding something in life. Because, I mean, yes, life can get stressful, life can get hard or rough or whatever,
Hmm.
but there's always something positive. I mean, hey, the fact that you woke up now, mind you, when you're doing that, you want to have different things you're thankful for each day. But it's like the fact that you woke up and that you made it through that stressful day,
Right.
So just actually, like, I think looking for the thing, looking, okay, like, I know I'm gonna do my gratitude journal tonight. Let me look for something to be grateful for. Let me look for something positive.
Yeah, I like that. Um, and I think also having self-care within a relationship is important because it helps you to again show up as your best self.
Mhm.
Because like I've heard a couple people say this week, like you can't pour from an empty cup. So it gives you the chance to refill, kind of recharge, and also still become more self-aware because self-awareness is vital, like period. Just vital. That's it. So I gotta say, it's vital. Self awareness. Okay. The other tip for practicing self care, which I don't really know, but I think it makes sense. Learn to say no. And it says one powerful way to practice self care includes acknowledging and honoring your own boundaries. Many people struggle with setting appropriate boundaries with others, physical and emotional, which can lead them to commit to things even when they'd rather not. This may seem like a big deal. This may not seem like a big deal, but Dr. Lickerman notes that the inability to say no, even with the best intentions, often leads to resentment and even anger outbursts. So, and lastly, because this is actually a really good point, it can also make you feel like you're not living your own life and that you're living your life according to others. according
Hello.
to others' whims, which can make you lose sight of your own needs and desires. That's good. At first, I was
I
kind of like, "How?" But now I see.
No, it's girl, it's real. Because even there was this, I think I mentioned it in a couple episodes ago where, like, I was talking to this one guy and, like, I didn't check in with myself, and we ended up talking a little bit, and it didn't end so well, and it was just kinda like, "Girl, if you had to check in with yourself instead of running over your own boundaries."
Mhm.
Not that I think I would still be talking to him because I was already like, but it was like, you probably wouldn't have had that experience in that way if you
Right.
had have checked in with yourself because I wasn't in the space and I just forced myself because of which also goes with how you think of yourself. I've forced myself to do it because I'm like, well, you're just reacting out of fear. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's literally like, I don't want to.
Mhm.
And it's okay to say, and like, I had to learn how to say no because I
Mhm.
was, especially in the church that I grew up with, I was the yes queen. And I had to learn to be like, no, I can't.
Right.
I had to learn to say, no, I remember this one time, like I was, when I tell you, I was like, every time there was an opportunity to do something, I was like, oh, and I had to learn to like turn that off and I had to learn to say no. So like, I went through some things that caused me to like really reflect on that. And so I remember I had this one time where the elder at the time was trying to get me to get back into teaching the kids or whatever. I told him no. I said no. And he kept trying to like push that boundary. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because I kind of wish I had this had to happen with the Doretha that I am now,
Mhm.
because it would have been interesting. So this one time, he literally we were like, I decided, okay, I was like, okay, I was praying about it. I was like, let me just go to this teacher's workshop just to see how it is, right? And this is a church I grew up with, and my parents were still going there too. We were all still going there, whatever. So I remember this one time, like he's like he tells my parents, and this is mind you, I'm in my 30s at this point. So it's like
Mhm.
my dad will tell you can't tell her what to do. I can't tell her what to do. She
Mhm.
grown. Like no, so like I'm gonna do what I want. But the elder was like, call my parents' names, told him, tell Teresa to teach. And it's like the Teresa that I am now would have been because I didn't say anything, but I was kind of like,
Mhm.
I was definitely turned off, but I was like, the Teresa that I am now would have been like, my no wasn't good enough for you
Right.
because telling them to tell me something doesn't work.
Right.
No, I said no, and it is no. And now it's even more a definite no because you have put the nail in the coffin because you've been disrespectful at this point.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's also learning to like stand in your no and know that sometimes it's normal to feel the guilt when you say no.
Mhm.
It's normal. You're gonna feel the guilt especially when you just start to say no to people. You're going to feel that guilt. That's normal. Don't think that it's a bad thing. You're gonna feel that because you're so used to doing things to please people. When you start saying no, you're gonna feel guilt, and it'll come to a point where you're like no, and you feel nothing
Mhm.
but joy
That's
for
good.
saying no.
That's good. Yeah. I didn't think about the fact that you kind of feel guilty for saying no, especially when you're somebody who doesn't normally say no.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a good point. I like that. All right, and I think one of the important, it's not really, well, I guess the other tip, to schedule self-care time.
Ooh.
Um, and then it says guard that time with everything you have. It can be hard for us to find extra time, but it's extremely important to plan regular self care time. Moments alone can help you to ponder the best ways to move forward in your life and keep you grounded. And moments with friends can help you feel more connected and relaxed. And then it says whether you decide you want to go for a long walk, take a hot bath, or enjoy a good movie with friends, taking self care time is imperative. Look for small ways that you can incorporate it into your everyday life. For example, you might wake up 15 minutes early to sit with a cup of tea and practice deep breathing before the chaos of the day begins. Or you might take a walk around the block on your lunch break. I think that's really good. Um, I think it's important because it's way easier to be like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go and read my book for 15 minutes every night, and then you just say that and never do it. But I think
Mhm.
scheduling it, like schedule it, set an alarm, like set a reminder, do whatever you have to do
Mm.
to actually do that. And then even exercise your boundaries around telling people like, hey, I'm not gonna be available from 8 to 8:30. Like
Mhm.
and then do that. Let that be your time. And then eventually people will kind of, I mean, you don't really worry about them, but they'll get over it. They'll get used to it. They'll get over it.
Yeah.
That 30 minutes is yours. So I think scheduling is super important.
No, I think that's good because especially, like, trying to find it every day is huge because it's, like, it's easy to do, like well, not necessarily easy. You can, like, "Oh, Imma do it this weekend," but it's, like it's that made me like, "Oh, it's important to, like, try to find ways," and it's hard. Whether you're in a relationship or not, like, Imma tell you right now, I'm single in these streets, and even for me, it's hard to, like, actually, like, find self-care time because it's, like, I'm really busy, I'm really stressed out, and so, like, all I wanna do is lay around, I don't wanna do anything. But it's like
Mhm.
I also need to feed my soul and, like, do things that give me joy, so it's also about, like, okay, get up and do what you said you're gonna do. And, like, self-care isn't just, like, going to get your nails done and all that stuff. Sometimes it's also, like, the whole thing about boundaries, and it's also, like you said, about setting that like it said about setting that schedule, like, "Okay, no. And from this time to this time, Imma be doing my meditation," whatever it is, because those are the things that help you to be able to function,
Right. Yeah,
throughout
exactly.
the day. Because you actually really, really need that. And
Mhm.
no, I think that's good. It's making me think because I'm like I will do it on the weekend sometimes, but like finding something every day is like wow, that's something that I need to look into. Like what can you do to care for yourself? Because like
Right.
we do all this stuff to care for other people.
Mhm.
And it's like we need to put in caring for ourselves. So I like that it said to schedule because I'm like for me, I'll push it off into the weekend. So by the time the weekend comes, like last weekend, I was supposed to go to the museum and do all this stuff, and girl, I just sat in my house.
Mhm. Right.
And I remember I was telling my friend, "Oh, I'm gonna do this." We were talking on Sunday, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna go to this museum." Da, da, da. And she had invited me to like meet her for brunch, whatever, but I couldn't. So it's just kind of like, and then after we got off the phone, I did some things. And I was just like, I ended up just sitting here. I didn't go anywhere. It's like, dang it, Doretha. Like, and I know I needed to go. I know I needed to be out and just
Mhm.
be doing something that gives me joy, but I just couldn't find it. And I was just like, but like, really about being intentional about it. I think that and setting that schedule, I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
And then the fact that, like, I like also that it included your friends because we often think that self-care is only by yourself, and
Mhm.
sometimes it's like, "No, I need to be with people who love me. I need to be around people who I love, so let me out schedule time with my friends," kinda thing. So I
Right.
like that
Yeah.
it said that too.
Yeah, I like that too. Could you definitely I definitely think that self-care is always like alone. I didn't think about like just having other
Yeah,
people with you is your self-care as well. So I like that too. Like, and that also helps you like if you're somebody who gets your energy from people, you don't feel like, oh dang, now I can't do this with them. Like it's
yeah,
good that you can include your friends and that can be a form of self-care as well. But also don't
yeah.
negate being by yourself and letting
Yes, me both.
yourself,
Mhm,
be alone, think of your thoughts, all that
mhm.
good stuff. So if y'all have some self-care tips, definitely put them in the comments. Please subscribe. Please interact with our podcast. Like Rita said, last podcast, your interaction is going to help boost us and get us to a place where more people know about us, more people interact with us, and then we about to be out here winning podcast awards. You never know. Well, we need you to
Okay.
interact. Okay. But so let's start with putting your self-care tips in the comments, your affirmations. What do you say to yourself every day? Put that in the comments on our Instagram page, on our podcast, YouTube page, so we can interact with you guys and you guys can interact with us and we can be boosted. You can reach me at Deandra.Monique on the IG. You can reach the podcast at Coffee Hills Convo Pod. Rita?
You can reach me at Read the Author on IG, and then you can visit our website at chcpod.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel because, like, we're
Yes.
sharing, please. Like, we honestly really do want to, like, grow. And the
Mhm.
more y'all listen, the more y'all share, the more you guys engage. Like, will help us to become more discoverable and, just help us, y'all. And we do appreciate those who be listening because we know some people
Yes.
we know we track it, we know. So we appreciate y'all, those who would tune in and who got love for us. We appreciate y'all.
Yes, we appreciate our day ones. Y'all are thebomb.com.
Mhm.
So we love y'all. Remember self-care, positive affirmations. You are worth it as is, without exception, without change, without exception. And that
That's the
was
shirt I
by,
have on
that's the shirt she got on. That's by Melissa Fredericks, Mrs. Kev on
on
stage.
stage.
So we love y'all and remember your self-care. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye. And don't forget, you're worthy.
Amen and amen.